Ooh. First of all, thank you for being here, especially today. There's been so much emotion arising since I started the Fetters. I almost feel as if I'm seeing my whole life from a perspective that I'd never seen it from, like all the patterns and darknesses. Even though I'd seen some of it, it just has been hitting me like, who is this person? It's like, and so I shared a couple of sessions ago that I had sent an apology to my brother, and I didn't have my camera on, and there was some confusion around that. It was a straight apology. It was just an I'm sorry
Yeah.
if I had um, expressed a lot of anger and directed it toward him. And you reminded me that whatever response I got, to remember that it was his, that he was talking about himself.
Yeah.
So it was interesting the way the response came back, in that I was in my car and I was at a stoplight, and I looked at my phone and I saw that there was an email coming in from him, but it hadn't downloaded. And I immediately put my phone down and I went, okay, there's an email from him. And then at the next stoplight, I read the first line. And the first line was something along the, thank you for your email. And then I just put it down. I went, okay, there's one line. The next line was, you have shown great kindness to me at times during our life.
Yeah.
Put it down. And then he said, this is very hard for me to say. This is painful for me to say. And he said, over the course of a lifetime, I never know when you're going to turn on me. I think it's happened twice in our lives, actually. Once when I was like 9 years old, and then this last time. I'm not someone who frequently dumps anger. So it was surprising. And he said, this isn't our first rodeo now, is it?
Mm.
And when I read that part, I just involuntarily contracted.
Yeah.
I felt kind of like my heart had been pierced. But what flowed out felt like just this profound compassion for
Yeah.
myself, for him, for the circumstance, for the family trauma, just all of it, just compassion. Then I started seeing some things about the relationship. He's my older brother, and he's older by a year and a half. And I started seeing a lot of the ways that I had connected with him in childhood. Like he was my safety sometimes, and sometimes um, he was my tormentor too. All of those things. And in that process, what I've been seeing is kind of all the people that I've left behind. It's like I'm really connecting with this part of myself that I have rejected. And so it's kind of showing up externally.
Mm.
Um, so when I finished reading his email, I was pulling into a car wash, and all of this compassion was flowing. And I pulled into this car wash, and my license plate says, love yourself. And there was the guy was looking at my license plate and looking at the credit card and just kind of trying to figure things out. And I said, "Did you figure it out?" And he said, "No. What does it say?" I said, "Love yourself." And then he went, "Oh." And I said, "All of yourself." And he went, "Oh, thank you. Thank you." And it was like the light had just struck him. It was like he was like dancing and thank you. It was like he was really getting love yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, it was all of myself, even that part, just every part. And so every part has been stepping forward since then to be loved and to be seen. It's sometimes so hard. I was in the kitchen. And I start to feel this kind of enclosed feeling, like being trapped. And I just want to push everyone and everything away. I just want to go and just hide. This is a pattern of withdrawal that shows up for me. And my husband was there for me in such a big way, where I would normally cut myself and shut myself away. He really reached out, and I felt like it almost felt like Michelangelo's with the hands connecting, like it was so profound for me, just the touch of a hand in that moment of feeling so incredibly alone and cut off. And so I'm starting Angelo DeLullo's 7-day silent retreat on Sunday, and it feels like this whole massive structure of the self is it just feels like a whole armor that just wants to drop away, or at least I'm hoping. I think it's a thought that I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share that.
It's so wonderful. Thank you so much. It's so, so beautiful. It's so, so beautiful. I have multiple things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is just every time that we have that, what you explained about, you talked about being in the kitchen and you felt that withdrawing and you just wanted, to withdraw from everything. When we get feelings like that, it's only a diversion. There's something inside that feels so, so vulnerable. And when we experienced it the first time, way, way back, we didn't have the words to describe it. We didn't have the emotional maturity to experience it. And we didn't have, the psychological maturity to experience it. So we shut down, we diverted, either with, like you say, and how you experience it, with shutting down or withdrawing, or we diverted with anger. So we started to throw things at people, or we diverted with anything, ice cream, alcohol, whatever. So where you are at when you realized in the kitchen that you felt that withdrawing, and then your husband really saw you, and you were brave enough not to push him away like you normally would have done, but just staying with it, staying with it, staying with it. And then you had that feeling of, Michelangelo touching God, that is that feeling of, oh my goodness, this was what I needed all along when I pushed people away and when I pushed my family away, all along when I did that, it was just a diversion because of this vulnerability that I was not mature enough to experience. Now I am. And that is when everything just falls into place and you start to live. It's also what we talk a lot about with the fetters, really live it. It's not something that you just do in the cushion, or you just do when you are in your sangha, you just do, in meditation. It's something you really live all the time. And that is when it starts to have that ripple effect that you experienced when I mean, the whole thing you talked about with your brother and the email and the contraction and the relaxing and the seeing him as a human being that is just reacting out of, as a survival mechanism, just like everyone are. And just having that compassion for that, pulling into the gas station, and by that, embracing the compassion for your brother and for yourself, for the family trauma, for everything, you just radiated your license plate to the guy. It just, and it's so, so beautiful. It's exactly how it is, that when we allow ourselves all the things we do not want, and instead of diverting with anger or anything, 4-5 federation, all the things we want, so we divert. All the things we don't want, where we divert, but we just stay with it. It is beautiful, the ripple effect that it takes. It's so, so beautiful, and I'm so utterly grateful for you sharing it with us, and how amazing you're going on Angelo's retreat. Really, really amazing. I mean, having 7 days of silence where you can just allow yourself to sit with that vulnerability and allowing it to be there. And I just want to, obviously, it because you said it just before, that there's nothing that needs to go away. It's utterly all of Irene. That's just wonderful. Every part of you is allowed to be there. Like you said to the guy at the gas station, love all of you, everything about yourself, love all of it. Yeah. So for you to go on a silent retreat and really exploring being in that space where everything that comes up, it's okay. It's either something that is super vulnerable that you can be with, or it's so vulnerable that you can't, so you're diverting, then you're just staying with the diversion and loving the diversion as well. I mean, what a great timing. What a great timing.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so grateful for the fetters and for the way that you both have allowed me to deepen and to become aware of so much. It's just such a gift, and it's one of the hardest things that I've done. And I've done a lot of things, but this has been really a challenge, and it just feels like it opened up a doorway that I hadn't been through. In a big way, in a very big way. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's the part that obviously, as a therapist, I've done lots of therapy, obviously, but I also really, and I see the use of it, I really do. But at some point, it's so cerebral, and we're just thinking up scenarios and thinking up new stories that we then feel into the story, but it's still about the story. It's different with the theta work, is that it goes into how it feels in the body. And there's no attachment to any story. Every time a story comes up, you detach the story and just stay with the body. And it just allows the body to express what it needs to express without being interrupted by a story.
It seems so simple. It seems so simple, but in the process, I've seen just how conditioned I am to not go to the body.
Yeah.
And it's been startlingly, I mean, it's startling how much I don't go to the body and stay in the story in the past up till now.
It's beautiful.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amazing.
Do you have anything you want to add?
I had a small question, but I feel like it could just go down a deeper road. So I don't know if it's maybe
your inquiries.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know. I should maybe
go on.
Well, no, I just a small question that I had, which again may or may not go into anything else, was, I mean, you had brought up in his letter where he had said that we've been, this isn't our first rodeo, and you felt that thing from that. I was wondering, what did you actually make of that? His comment.
What I made of it is that my brother is someone who is very challenged in the arena of letting things go. And so he will consistently remind me of, or bring up, when something that happened 50 years ago.
Yeah.
When we were 20. I'm 70 now. It's like, when, and he's still like, oh, you remember that time when you, and he's holding on to it. And so when he said that, it was like, oh, let it, there's just now, let the rodeo go, let the past go. Just, there was just that. And does that answer your question?
Yeah, because I was wondering, because you said you had like 2 times that you remember in the past 70 years that
Right.
you've had an explosion towards him of some sort, or let something out. But he's obviously, in his mind, there have been multiple instances where he doesn't know how to trust you, because he doesn't know what to expect from you, because in his mind he's seeing that. So
Yes.
my question was, one, what did you make of that? Whereas did you feel like you were forgetting instances, or do you feel like he's interpreting things over the course of these years differently than you've experienced them? So even though you've had instances where you haven't felt like you've done anything that would be, you know, letting something out, or doing something that he would take to be that way, that obviously it sounds like from his perspective that he has. And
Yes.
so his reality is obviously going to be different than your reality of it. And so I wondered what your take of that was, whether that pain was because you realize that he is seeing a lifetime with you that's different from how you have experienced your lifetime with him.
It's so interesting when I'm looking here. What's coming up is that it feels there's what arises is some frustration, and it's like right here in my chest. And it's that then there's the thought that he doesn't see me as I am. He sees me as I was, like still like long ago, like like there's some way he's relating and he won't let it go. And so I'm constantly faced with his image. This is the whole kind of gestalt of it, that I'm faced with the image that he has that isn't necessarily in the now.
Yeah. That's really good, because that's the thing, is it's that recognition that nobody ever sees us the way that we see ourselves, or see we always think that our relationship is one way, and the other person may have similar but still going to be different views on how every exchange has ever been, and what they remember from all of those exchanges. And all of that goes into, again, as you said, seeing a person not as they are in this moment, but with all of the past history label that they've accumulated stuck over this person. And that's only the things that they happen to have remembered. So if they haven't remembered all of the great, generous, loving things that you've done, those labels are not the ones that are being first attached to you when he sees your picture, or he sees a letter coming from you. It's all the things that have made themselves the most prevalent in his memory, which,
And the same, I see very clearly, the same is obviously is true right here.
yeah,
Totally. Oh yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah, but also bringing, what you doing?
No, go. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, but also bringing the focus into that, just like when we have a diversion happening because something is really, really painful and we can't look at it, and then we have a diversion in a direction going to somewhere. When we detach the thought and we're just with the experience of what happened, now that is kind of like locked in time. That if you were 7 when your school teacher said something to you that make you feel so shameful, the shame is locked into time in that period, and it is that period that we need to stay with the 7-year-old. That's what we do in the 7th fetter, where we go back in time to the 7-year-old and stay with that 7-year-old as the adult that we are today, so we can allow the body to heal the trauma that happened at that point.
Yes.
brother is no different. So you have said something to him or done something to him that you might have, like Todd was pointing out, you might have forgotten completely. But
Yes.
his 9-year-old is so wounded,
Yeah.
he can't let go of it. And he's not supposed to let go of it. It
Yeah.
needs space and it needs love for the 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So for you seem, trivial and come on, let go of the bloody rodeo. But he can't, because he has a 9-year-old crying, and that 9-year-old needs compassion and love and space. And that's why he keeps bringing it up, because it has not received what it needs, and he cannot let go of it until it has received what it needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And only he can give it to himself.
He's the only one who can give it, because it's not about you at all.
Right.
Of all the things you have said to him over 70 years, there are few ones that he remembers.
Yes.
And that's his mind that has selected those, because there's something in that he needs to work with.
Gosh darn.
And that we can only have compassion for.
Absolutely. But when I just grok all of this, it's just so kind of like, I don't know how to put it into words, that it's like shatters what you think, how life is happening.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely
Just
does.
shatters whatever. I mean, when you see the reality of that, it's just, I keep saying the word startling because it's startling.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is.
We've been living through a false narrative, and we've been living with an assumption that other people are also living with our same false narrative. And then you're starting to realize that not only do other people not share your delusion, but that what you've taken to be truth has also just been delusional.
It's, oh gosh, it's just wild.
Yeah. Absolutely is. Yeah.
So where does one go with this?
Well, this is why people find it destabilizing too in some cases, because there's nothing to really hold on to in that way. There's living with the humility of recognizing that everything that you see is not really the truth, and you can live in a world where ultimately you have to be okay with knowing that you don't know anything, and that your experience is completely biased, but it's okay.
Oh, this is such a relief.
It is. It is. It is.
Such a relief, because I think that I have the thought that I really live as if I don't know, but this takes me to a whole nother level of I don't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A whole nother level of
Yes.
I don't know, and there is no knowing.
No.
Nobody can know because of this.
Yes. Exactly. You got it.
Well,
exactly. High five from here.
Oh my gosh. What would life be like really in that not knowing and really seeing clearly? I feel like there's a little bit of fear that comes up that goes, wait, you're going to forget this. You're going to forget this. Don't forget this.
Yeah.
Of that. Yeah. There is no way to know, because everybody is doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Their own mind construct, right?
Yeah.
The whole construct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Wow. Well, now that leaves a lot of space for even more destabilization during the retreat, because I think I'm really seeking the total destabilization of this construct.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to, I'm going to talk about the wheel.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We have talked a lot about how we can help people, because we work with the feathers. And as you know, we talk about feather 1, feather 2, feather 3, and so on. And at the same time, we keep saying that it's not linear, but we call the numbers that start with 1 and end with 10. And also with the curriculum that I'm working through the numbers. And at the same time, we're talking about it's not linear. So we have actually come up with a new way of talking about the feathers, and we're going to make a sofa set and talk about it. And it's where, instead of having the linear approach to the feathers, we call it the wheel of identification, where you have all the feathers, all 10 feathers at the same time. And it's more about becoming aware of what you just realized, that there is identification happening all the time, but it is in one of the 10 slices of the pie. So it's like a pie chart. Would be easier if I had the picture to explain it. But it's basically that seeing that there are 10 different ways that we can identify, and there are 10 different ways that we can dissolve the identification, and that can happen all the time. So it's not that you can only, see through the third one if you have done the first and the second. It's not how it is. And you can only work with the fifth about aversion and ill will if you have done the other ones. It's not how it is. For some people, the 10th fetter of not knowing happens before the 5th fetter of ill will and aversion is completely dropped. And to accommodate that and to help working with it, we're going to start to talk about the wheel of identification instead of talking about the fetters linearly. So when you go to the retreat, be open to any kind of identification that you spot, and then coming back to the 10th fetter that you just realized that you do not know. You do not know. And that is with you all the time. In everything that you question, and everything you get a doubt about, everything you, if your brother writes you again, if something is said during the retreat or anything, and you have that contraction in your body right away, get back to the slice of the 10th fetter that is just like, you do not know.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yes. Wow. Thank you.
Oh,
Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Opening. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to hearing what is happening during the retreat next time I see you.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Irene. Thank you.
Enjoy. Good seeing you.